Visiting today with the commissioner of the Wyoming High School Activities Association, Trevor Wilson, joins me from Casper. And Trevor, thank you for taking a few minutes. You're through all four board meetings for this school year, and now we're starting to kind of get to the end of spring sports and transition into next school year. It's already hard to believe that that's already here, but I know the biggest kind of conversation topic I have been asked about during this whole school year is how we're moving forward with these new enrollment cut lines. I know what the basis is with 700, and then you work down from there, and it keeps teams in a class so that you're not adjusting class based on people's other schools' enrollment. But can you break it down for us in terms of the impact that this will have starting next school year for 24-25?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, David. I appreciate it. Appreciate all you do. I'll do my best to break it down. 4A now is 700 enrollment and above. And I think you might have mentioned, that's 15 schools going into next year. And then 3A is 699 down to 210 enrollment. And that's grades 9 through 12, of course, as we've always done. 2A goes from 209 down to 110 students. And then 1A, of course, is our smallest classification, 109 down to 20 or wherever we're at. So that's the basic cutoff. The biggest change, as we stated, is the 15 schools in 4A, as opposed to we've always had 16. Not always, but for a long, long time since I've been doing this. We've had 16. So that does create some interesting dynamics for postseason stuff, especially when it's the East I shouldn't say they're affected more, but they're the ones that now end up with the 7 schools in the East. So their regional tournaments look a little different than the West, and we can go over that if we have time or if you want to. So I don't know if I missed anything. Schools, I guess you asked about schools moving up or down. I think the biggest change, Cody is now a 3A school as opposed to being the smallest 4A school. And then we go all the way down to Glen Rock. They're our smallest 3A school. So it's Cody down to Glen Rock. And then Moorcroft is our largest 2A school down to Wind River. They're our smallest. And then Arapahoe Charter and Lingle are our largest 1A schools down to Arvada Claremont. So
Okay.
that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, so basically we get Moorcroft moving down. Besides Cody moving down, you get Moorcroft back down to 2A where I think they kind of want to be, and
Yeah.
then you look at Lingle moving back from 2A down to 1A. So there's a couple things there.
Yep. Yep.
You mentioned and might as well cover it. So basically 15 and 4A impacts regional volleyball, regional
Yep.
basketball.
Yep.
You said 7 East, 8 West. So how does that balance out? Are both Casper schools now going west here, Trevor? Or can you
Yes.
kind of break that
Yeah.
down for us?
Yeah. So the rub has been that having Kelly Walsh and Natrona be in opposite conferences for the last many years, and that's created some issues here in town. I know it's not all about Casper, but that's kind of the rationale for the conferences now are in the East, and I have this in our handbook: Campbell County, Sheridan, Thunder Basin, Central, East, South, and Laramie. That's your East teams, and then the West teams, as you talked about, it's Kelly Walsh, Natrona, Riverton, Rock Springs, Evanston, Green River, Jackson, Star Valley. Those are the West teams. 8 in the West, 7 in the East.
So how does that impact an East regional with 7 teams now?
Yeah. So, and unless they've changed, and I don't think they have, the last we knew, the East will now in basketball and volleyball do a single elimination first round. So with the number 1 seed in that conference getting a bye, and then obviously 2 plays 7, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5, loser out first round. And then we go double after that or play for third and fourth after that. So that's a lot different than what the West is going to look like. Their bracket really hasn't changed. They're doing a modified double like they have in the last many years, like 4A has done the last many years. So definitely is going to look a little different on each side, and we'll see how it goes. The single elimination, that's a pretty big deal, and I know they talked back and forth many times, and that's the fit they found for at least the next 2 years. So we'll see how that goes.
So kind of back to prior when we were only 12 schools in 4A and the top 2 had the buys. This time 1 gets a buy, 3 single elimination games on Thursday, and then you play it out for seeding Friday, Saturday. So we're
Yep.
kind of back to that mode in
Very
only
similar.
4A, in only the 4A East.
Yes.
Nothing
Correct.
else changes for the rest of the, whether it's 4A West or down to 3A, 2A, 1A, everything's going to be double elimination type.
Everything is going to be double elimination because the 3A will now have 16 schools, which is obviously nice. 2A looks like they'll have 14 schools, which is somewhat balanced, but they'll have the similar bye issues that we talked about in 4A East. And then 1A, of course, has 20 some teams, so they'll have the same bracket.
Okay, all right. So that's for volleyball and basketball.
Yes, sir.
A lot of this, of course, doesn't impact football with the cut lines, because football we always take out and it's its own separate beast, and you're staying with the same model that we have been. So
okay. Football did not change or does not change.
Okay. How does enrollment cut lines impact wrestling?
So yeah, that's a good question. And the goal of this new classification structure is to try to make an attempt to put the same schools in the same classification in every sport. Now, it's not totally possible with some where we only have 1 class or 2 classes or 3 classes, but it is for the most part for those large schools. So in wrestling, for example, the cut line stays the same. So it's 700 above. That's 4A, so it'll be the same 15 schools. Okay. And then 3A is exactly the same. It's 699 down to 210. And then 2A obviously is a little different because now it's 2A and 1A schools together.
Okay.
Same for cross country, same for golf. Those are the 3 that have the three classifications, the sports that have 3 classifications.
Okay, so that makes it actually kind of simple. And I think the nice thing about this, Trevor, is where you are in terms of a class is not impacted by anybody else's growth or loss of students, basically. Yeah. And that way you're only impacted if somebody else grows or loses and they drop down, basically.
100%. And that was one of the reasons for the support of this. And then the second one is what we talked about just a little bit ago, is being in the same classification in every sport, not 4A in one, 3A in the other than football. Football is its own animal for now, but yeah, those 2 items that you talked about are the reason that this, in my opinion, why this passed.
All right. Well, that sets us up for the 2024-25 school year. That's one part of the conversation with Activities Association Commissioner Trevor Wilson.